Hello guys, I like cheese, and I like playing games. I am archiving myself playing these story-driven games as an additional motivation since I always skip and save them for other days, whatever reason I come up with just to not play them. Also because I've been a sucker for live service games for so long that I didn't have the time to play all these great games through the years. I decided to start these with the earlier Final Fantasy games. The reason being that Final Fantasy as a series is a massive brand and a staple series in the RPG genre. The first game I played is Final Fantasy I, Pixel Remaster. Before everything else, I want to point out that I haven't started and finished any Final Fantasy game. I might have started some before, but I can't remember. My knowledge of Final Fantasy probably just came from movies like Advent Children, games like Kingdom Hearts and Super Smash Bros., and just the various Final Fantasy stuff on the internet. I decided to start on the first game, albeit it's the Pixel Remaster version. After playing the game for a bit, I decided to skip encounters and have experience/skill boost, just so I can skip the grinding just for saving time. I kept myself from overleveling as much as possible so I have as genuine experience regarding the boss battles. If the experience/skill boost wasn't there, I probably would just grind it for hours until I one-shot every random encounters, then I would proceed with the boss battle, so this experience/skill boost helps a lot. I just estimated that by turning off random encounters, it counterbalanced the boost since I am not getting experience and gil from it. I hope that isn't a bad thing for a first-time gameplay experience. I kept one main thought in the back of my mind to not expect that much innovations and quality of life improvements since it's the very first game of the series and it's technically a really old game. First impressions that really hooked me are the music and sounds. They might be remixes and improved ones, but it's really solid when in line with playing the game. They kept me quite immersed and focused in the game itself, even when just grinding and going around the game world. I started a new game, and it let me choose 4 characters along with their classes, so I went with a monk, a white mage, a thief, and a red mage. The reason I picked these classes are because I based it on my cumulative ideas and knowledge regarding JRPG games, also because I think they are the coolest ones. Another reason is because I thought there would be a way to change classes somewhere down the line. Boy, how wrong I was, and soon regretted some of the choices I picked. The story is the generic bread-and-butter fantasy kind. Heroes, and in this case, warriors of light needing to save the world kind of thing. I don't hate it. The story progression seems fine. There's foreshadowing and hints that you can get from NPC that are useful further down the line, and you just have to remember it. It's not hand-holdy, but is pretty linear with a few exceptions. If you actually get lost and don't know how to progress, you just have to try and talk to every NPC in every town or city, and you'll get a clue sooner or later. I didn't have any issues aside from the ice cave part, since I avoided the cracks and didn't realize sooner that you actually have to drop from one to get the thing you have to get. Majority of the complaints I have are mostly nitpicks and probably just caused by it being an old game. The first thing is the lack of class change mechanic. There's way too many monster-trapped chests, which I guess somewhat helped in my favor due to not having random encounters to grind off of. I regretted not having any warrior on my party due to most of the gears, along with one of the best swords, Excalibur, being only equipable on warrior class. My monk was hitting like a noodle with a nunchuck and felt like a burden until around the 2nd or 3rd to the last dungeon and tried unequipping weapon from him and let him fight barehanded. Monk then became my main damage dealer after that. One thing I noticed is that offensive magic seemed to be substantially weaker than physical attacks for single target and is mostly just useful on clearing random mobs. My strategy for boss battles just became something like this. Monk being the main damage due to the class not having spells or buffs, so it's useless for anything other than doing damage. White Mage being the main defensive buffer and healer, not useful for anything else. Thief being the secondary damage dealer, as well as additional buffer in the beginning when the monk is still getting the buffs before the thief. The upgraded ninja class enabled some useful buff skills to learn which definitely helped my boss battles. Red Mage being the primary buffer and nothing else. I used Red Mage as an attacker in earlier bosses until I realized you can repeatedly use offensive buffs, and it stacks repeatedly. I probably will keep using this strategy in future games as long as it keeps working, though I might pick Warrior over a Monk just to not miss out on things like Excalibur. I need to be honest, I got wiped a few times on some of the bosses, as you can see on my full recorded playthrough, and I needed to turn on random encounters for the final boss just to level a few times. I reached the final boss at around level 38, and all my characters get one-shotted with just one of his physical attacks. I think I grinded up until level 42, just until my characters don't get one-shot by his normal attacks, and eventually defeated him after a few tries. The boss battle was pretty good and challenging, though after looking up stuff about the game after finishing it, in case there's post-game secret bosses and dungeons, which, sadly, the Pixel Remaster version does not have, the final boss seems to have some kind of full or very high HP heal, which he didn't use on any of my fights, so I guess I was quite lucky. All in all, Final Fantasy I is pretty good for an old game. It sets the precedent, and is quite the start for the Final Fantasy franchise. It might not excel in any aspect, but still is a very solid game for a first playthrough, and if one wants to experience the very beginning of it all,